Our story begins not in a grand lecture hall or a sacred temple, but amidst the splintered wood and churning waves of the Mediterranean Sea. Around 300 BC, a wealthy merchant named Zeno of Citium was sailing from Phoenicia, his ship laden with a precious cargo of purple dye. This single voyage represented his entire fortune, the culmination of years of hard work and savvy trade. But the sea is a powerful and unpredictable force, and a violent storm descended upon his vessel. The ship was torn apart, and Zeno watched helplessly as his life's work, his fortune and his future sank beneath the waves. He washed ashore in Athens, a stranger in a strange land, with nothing to his name but the clothes on his back. For most, this would have been the end, a tragedy from which there is no recovery, a moment of utter despair. Faced with this catastrophic loss, Zeno could have succumbed to bitterness, rage, or self-pity. He had lost everything he thought defined him: his wealth, his status, his profession. Yet, in this moment of profound crisis, something remarkable happened. Instead of lamenting what was gone, Zeno turned his focus toward what remained. He wandered into an Athenian bookshop and began to read. He discovered the works of Socrates and other great thinkers, and a new path began to unfold before him. He realized that while the shipwreck had taken his material possessions, it couldn't take his character, his reason, or his ability to choose how he responded to his fate. This was a revelation that would change not only his life but the course of Western philosophy for millennia. This newfound understanding became the bedrock of his philosophy. Zeno began to teach what he had learned, not from a high-priced academy, but in a public space in the heart of Athens known as the Stoa Poikile, or the Painted Porch. It was from this humble, open-air colonnade that his philosophy would take its name, Stoicism. He taught that true wealth is not found in cargo holds or bank accounts, but in a mind that is tranquil, virtuous, and resilient. He argued that external events, like storms and shipwrecks, are ultimately indifferent. What truly matters is our internal response, our judgment, our will, and our actions. Zeno's personal disaster became his greatest gift to the world, proving that even from total ruin, one can build a life of purpose and meaning. His teachings attracted people from all walks of life, drawn to this practical and empowering message. Zeno demonstrated through his own life that we are not the victims of our circumstances, but the masters of our responses. The shipwreck did not break him, it made him. It stripped away the non-essential and forced him to discover the unshakable core of his own being. He famously quipped, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered a shipwreck." This powerful origin story reminds us that Stoicism was never just an abstract intellectual exercise. It was forged in the crucible of real-world hardship, offering a timeless blueprint for navigating the inevitable storms of life with grace, strength, and unwavering calm. At the very heart of Stoic philosophy lies a simple yet profoundly powerful idea, one that can revolutionize how you see the world and your place within it. This core principle is called the dichotomy of control. It teaches us to draw a sharp, clear line between the things that are within our power and the things that are not. According to the Stoics, the list of things we truly control is surprisingly short. It includes our thoughts, our judgments, our beliefs, our actions, and our reactions. In essence, our inner world is our sovereign domain. Everything else, absolutely everything, falls into the category of things we do not control. This includes the weather, the economy, the opinions of others, our health, our reputation, and even the outcome of our best efforts. This simple distinction is the key to unlocking what the Stoics called apatheia, or a state of inner tranquility and freedom from disturbance. Think about how much of our daily anxiety, frustration, and sadness comes from trying to command things that are fundamentally outside our influence. We get angry when we are stuck in traffic, as if our fury could part the sea of cars. We feel dejected when someone criticizes us, trying to manage their perception of us. We become despondent when a project fails despite our hard work, focusing on the external result rather than the internal effort. The Stoics would say that this is a recipe for a miserable and turbulent life. By investing our energy and emotions in external factors, we are essentially handing over our peace of mind to the whims of fortune. Living by the dichotomy of control means making a conscious shift in focus. It is not about becoming passive or giving up on our goals. On the contrary, it is about directing our full and undivided attention toward the arena where we have absolute power, our own choices and actions. A Stoic archer knows she cannot control a sudden gust of wind, the movement of the target, or whether her arrow will ultimately hit the bullseye. What she can control is the quality of her practice, the steadiness of her arm, the focus of her mind, and the precise moment she releases the string. Her success is therefore not defined by the external outcome, but by the excellence of her effort. She judges herself on her process, which is entirely up to her, not on the result, which is not. This mental discipline liberates us. When we truly internalize that other people's actions are not within our control, their insults or praise lose their power to disrupt our equilibrium. When we accept that external events will unfold as they will, we can meet them with preparedness and resilience instead of shock and despair. The Stoic sage Epictetus, who was born a slave, put it best. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. This is not a statement of resignation, but one of immense empowerment. It is an invitation to stop fighting unwinnable battles with reality and to start cultivating the one thing no one can ever take from you, a virtuous and well-ordered mind. This is the first and most crucial step on the path to mastering life's challenges. When we hear the word Stoic in modern conversation, it often conjures a specific image, someone who is stern, unfeeling, and emotionally repressed. We picture a person who grits their teeth and bears hardship in grim silence, hiding any trace of vulnerability behind a stone-faced mask. This popular caricature, however, is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the ancient philosophy of Stoicism is truly about. The Stoics were not emotionless robots or joyless pessimists. They were vibrant, engaged human beings who sought to live a full and meaningful life. Their goal was not to eliminate emotions, which they knew to be a natural part of the human experience, but to understand them, manage them, and prevent them from hijacking their reason. The Stoic approach to emotion is one of wise management, not cold suppression. They recognize that we have initial involuntary reactions to events. A flash of anger when insulted, a pang of fear in the face of danger, a wave of grief at a loss. The Stoics called these first movements and saw them as natural and unavoidable. The real work of a Stoic begins in the moment after that initial feeling arises. It is in that crucial pause where we have a choice. Do we assent to this initial impression? Do we feed the anger with vengeful thoughts? Do we allow the fear to spiral into panic? Or do we examine the feeling with our rational mind, question its validity, and decide on a deliberate, virtuous response? For a Stoic, negative emotions like anger, envy, and debilitating fear are not just unpleasant, they are the product of poor judgment. They arise from mistaken beliefs about what is good and bad. If you believe that having a good reputation is the ultimate good, then an insult will feel like a devastating attack. But if you as a Stoic believe that the only true good is virtue, then an insult is merely noise. Unpleasant perhaps, but ultimately harmless to what truly matters. The goal is not to feel nothing, but to suffer nothing from your feelings. It is about transforming destructive passions into healthy rational emotions, leading to a state of robust well-being and inner peace that the Stoics called eudaimonia. Therefore, a true Stoic is not someone who is detached from life, but someone who is deeply engaged with it. Without being thrown off course by its inevitable ups and downs, they can feel joy, love, and connection, but they do not become dependent on them for their happiness. They can experience sadness and disappointment, but they do not allow these feelings to fester into despair. Stoicism is a comprehensive and dynamic philosophy for living. It is a practical toolkit for navigating the complexities of the human condition, helping us to process our emotional world with clarity and wisdom, rather than simply pretending it doesn't exist. It is about building an inner citadel of calm, not an outer wall of ice. For the Stoics, the ultimate goal of life was not to accumulate wealth, fame, or pleasure. The goal was to live a good life, a life of excellence and moral worth. This kind of life, they argued, was achieved by cultivating what they called arete, or virtue. They believed that virtue is the one and only true good, the sole ingredient required for a happy and flourishing existence. All other things, health, money, relationships, were considered indifferents. They could be preferred, but they were not essential for happiness and should never be pursued at the expense of one's character. To guide this pursuit of a virtuous life, the Stoics focused on 4 cardinal virtues that served as the pillars of their ethical framework: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. The first virtue is wisdom. This is not about being a genius or knowing a vast number of facts. For the Stoics, wisdom is a practical skill, the ability to navigate the complex situations of life, in a logical, informed, and calm-headed way. It is the master virtue that helps us understand the others. Wisdom is what allows us to properly apply the dichotomy of control, distinguishing between what we can change and what we cannot. It is the faculty that helps us see events for what they are, free from the distortions of our own panicked or irrational judgments. It means seeing the world with clarity, making sound decisions, and understanding the cause and effect nature of our actions so we can live in harmony with reason. The second virtue is courage. Like wisdom, Stoic courage is not just about battlefield heroics or grand acts of bravery. It is the everyday courage to face life's difficulties with resilience and integrity. It is the courage to stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular. It is the courage to endure pain, disappointment, and loss without breaking. It involves both persistence and resistance, the strength to persist in our right actions and the fortitude to resist the temptations of fear, despair, and corruption. Courage is the virtue that allows us to face our fears, speak the truth, and act on our principles, no matter the external pressure or potential consequences. It is the inner strength to do the right thing, always. Finally, we have temperance and justice. Temperance, or moderation, is the virtue of self-control and discipline. It is about doing more with less, finding satisfaction in what is essential, and avoiding the trap of excessive desire. A temperate person is not ruled by their appetite for food, pleasure, or possessions. They understand the difference between what they need and what they merely want, and they exercise restraint to maintain their inner freedom. Justice, often considered the most important virtue by the Stoics, is about our duty to others. The Stoics believed we were all born for each other, like bees in a hive. Justice means treating others with fairness, kindness, and respect, recognizing our shared humanity and our obligation to contribute to the common good. Together, these four virtues form an interconnected guide for action, a moral compass pointing us toward a life of meaning, purpose, and tranquility. One of the most remarkable and enduring aspects of Stoicism is, honestly, its profound inclusivity. Unlike many philosophical schools of its time, which were often reserved for the wealthy and leisured elite, Stoicism was born in a public space and was intended for everyone. Its core principles were not dependent on one's social standing, wealth, or education. The Stoic path to a good life was accessible to anyone willing to apply its teachings, regardless of their external circumstances. This universal appeal is beautifully illustrated by the three most famous Stoic writers whose works have survived to this day: a Roman emperor, a powerful statesman and playwright, and a former slave. Their lives, could not have been more different, yet they all found solace and strength in the same philosophy. First, we have Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, arguably the most powerful man in the world during his reign. His personal journal, now known as Meditations, was never intended for publication. It was a private collection of notes and reminders to himself on how to apply Stoic principles while navigating the immense pressures of war, plague, political intrigue, and personal loss. He wrote about the need to remain calm, just, and rational while leading an empire. His writings show a man constantly reminding himself to focus on his duties, to be tolerant of others' faults, and to remember the shortness of life. That an emperor at the pinnacle of power needed these daily reminders demonstrates that no amount of external success can shield one from life's challenges. Next is Seneca the Younger, a wealthy and influential statesman, advisor to the notorious Emperor Nero, and a celebrated playwright. His life was a whirlwind of political power, immense wealth, and constant peril. He wrote numerous letters and essays on Stoic topics, offering practical advice on everything from managing anger to dealing with grief and preparing for death. Seneca's work is filled with sharp insights and practical wisdom, showing how Stoicism can be applied in the messy, high-stakes world of politics and business. He was eventually forced to take his own life by Nero, and he faced his end with the calm composure he had advocated for throughout his life, proving that he practiced what he preached even in the most extreme circumstances. Finally, and perhaps most inspiringly, there is Epictetus. He was born a slave in the Roman Empire and spent his early life in bondage, enduring physical hardship, including a permanently lamed leg reportedly inflicted by his cruel master. After gaining his freedom, he became a renowned Stoic teacher. For Epictetus, the dichotomy of control was not an abstract theory, it was his lived reality. His body, his freedom, and his possessions belonged to his master, but his mind, his will, and his character were his alone. He taught that true freedom is internal, and that no one can force you to compromise your virtue. The fact that Stoicism could empower both a slave and an emperor is a testament to its universal truth. Our circumstances do not define our capacity for wisdom, resilience, and a good life. Stoicism is not a philosophy for passive contemplation, it is an active practice, a form of mental training designed to build resilience, perspective, and inner peace. The ancient Stoics developed a variety of practical exercises that anyone can incorporate into their daily lives to fortify their minds against the inevitable challenges of existence. These are not complex rituals, but simple, powerful techniques for shifting your mindset. One of the most famous of these exercises is what Seneca called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves regularly taking time to imagine things going wrong. You might visualize losing your job, getting sick, or facing a difficult conflict. The goal is not to be morbid or to cause anxiety, but the very opposite. By mentally rehearsing potential misfortunes, you rob them of their power to shock and overwhelm you. When you have already considered the worst-case scenario, you're better prepared to handle it with calm and reason if it ever comes to pass. It is like a fire drill for the mind. You hope you never have to use it, but you are ready if you do. This practice also has a wonderful side effect. It fosters gratitude. When you regularly contemplate the potential loss of the good things in your life, your health, your relationships, your home, you come to appreciate them more deeply in the present moment. You stop taking them for granted and recognize them as the fragile blessings they truly are, which enhances your daily joy and contentment. Another powerful Stoic exercise is practicing voluntary discomfort. This involves intentionally introducing minor, controlled hardships into your life. You might choose to sleep on the floor for a night instead of your comfortable bed, take a cold shower, or eat a very plain and simple meal for a day. The purpose of this practice is twofold. First, it builds mental toughness and resilience. By proving to yourself that you can endure a little discomfort, you become less fearful of future hardship. You learn that your well-being is not dependent on constant comfort. You gain confidence in your ability to handle difficult situations because you have voluntarily trained for them in small, manageable doses. Second, this practice resets your baseline for pleasure and gratitude. After a day of eating simple porridge, a normal meal tastes like a feast. After sleeping on the hard floor, your bed feels incredibly luxurious. Voluntary discomfort teaches you a profound lesson that Seneca often wrote about in C. The person who has the most is not the one who has a lot, but the one who needs the least. These exercises, along with others like keeping a philosophical journal to review your day's actions or viewing events from a cosmic perspective, the view from above, are the dumbbells and resistance bands for your mind. They are the practical work that transforms Stoic philosophy from an interesting idea into a life-changing habit. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with messages about where to find happiness. Advertisements tell us it is in a new car, a bigger house, or the latest smartphone. Social media suggests it is found in accumulating likes, followers, and the envy of others. Society often equates happiness with external achievements, a prestigious job title, a high salary, or a perfect-looking family. The Stoics would look at this relentless pursuit of external validation and see it as a fundamental mistake, a guaranteed recipe for anxiety and disappointment. They taught that placing your happiness in things that are outside of your control is like building your house on sand. These things can, and often will, be taken away. The Stoic concept of happiness, or eudaimonia, is radically different. It is not a fleeting feeling of pleasure derived from external sources, but a deep and abiding state of well-being that comes from within. It is the tranquility that arises from living a life of virtue and reason, regardless of your external circumstances. The Stoics argued that true happiness is an internal achievement. It is found in the quality of your thoughts, the integrity of your character, and the wisdom of your choices. This inner state is something that no one can give you and, more importantly, no one can take from you. It is a fortress you build within your own mind, unbreachable by the chaos and unpredictability of the outside world. This does not mean that Stoics cannot enjoy external goods like health, friendship, or success. They called these preferred indifference. It is perfectly natural to prefer being healthy over sick, or prosperous over poor. The crucial distinction is not to mistake these preferences for necessities. You can enjoy them when you have them, but you must be prepared to let them go without losing your inner peace. Your happiness should not depend on them. Seneca advised learning to live with less, not as a form of self-punishment, but to create space in your life for the things that truly matter. By reducing our dependence on externals, we increase our freedom and our resilience. Ultimately, the Stoics teach us that we already possess everything we need to be happy. It is not something we need to acquire. It is something we need to cultivate. Happiness is the natural result of a well-ordered mind, a mind that focuses on what it can control, that acts with virtue, and that accepts what it cannot change with grace and equanimity. It is the peace that comes from knowing you have done your best with what is up to you, and letting go of the rest. This is an incredibly empowering message. It means that happiness is available to you right here, right now, no matter who you are or what your situation is. It is not out there somewhere to be found. It is in here, waiting to be built. While Stoicism originated over 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece and Rome, its core principles are so fundamentally sound and practical that they have found a powerful new life in the modern world, particularly in the field of psychology. Many of the most effective and evidence-based therapeutic methods used today are, at their core, a modern repackaging of ancient Stoic wisdom. The founders of these therapies recognized what the Stoics knew all along. It is not events themselves that cause us distress, but our judgments and beliefs about those events. This insight forms the very foundation of several prominent schools of psychotherapy that have helped millions of people manage their mental and emotional health. Perhaps the most direct descendant of Stoicism is cognitive behavioral therapy, and one of its earliest forms, rational emotive behavioral therapy, developed by Albert Ellis. Ellis frequently cited Epictetus, who famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This is the central premise of CBT. A therapist helps a patient identify their irrational or unhelpful thought patterns, challenge those thoughts with logic and evidence, and replace them with more rational and constructive beliefs. This process directly mirrors the Stoic practice of examining our impressions and choosing to assent only to those that are rational and in accord with nature. It is a structured way to do what the Stoics advised: manage your inner world of judgments. Another influential therapeutic approach with deep Stoic roots is logotherapy, founded by Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. Frankl's experiences in concentration camps led him to conclude that the primary driving force in humans is not pleasure, but the pursuit of meaning. He observed that even in the most horrific and dehumanizing conditions imaginable, those who were able to find a sense of purpose, a reason to live, were more likely to survive. This echoes the Stoic emphasis on living for a higher purpose, guided by virtue and duty, rather than chasing fleeting pleasures. Logotherapy helps individuals find meaning in their suffering, turning personal tragedy into a source of strength and growth, a profoundly Stoic idea. The enduring relevance of Stoicism in modern psychology is a powerful testament to its timeless wisdom. It shows that the challenges of the human condition, anxiety, fear, grief, and the search for meaning, have not changed much over the centuries. The tools the Stoics developed to navigate these challenges are just as effective today as they were on the painted porch of Athens or in the courts of Rome. The integration of Stoic principles into mainstream therapy validates the philosophy as a practical, effective, and deeply humane system for understanding and improving our mental and emotional lives. It provides an ancient, time-tested framework for building the resilience and tranquility we all seek in a complex modern world. If ever there was a modern embodiment of the Stoic ideal in action, it is the life of Nelson Mandela. His story serves as a powerful real-world testament to the strength and resilience that this ancient philosophy can provide. In 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life in prison for opposing South Africa's brutal system of apartheid. He would spend the next 27 years incarcerated, much of it in a tiny cell on the harsh and isolated Robben Island. He was subjected to forced labor, humiliating treatment, and the profound psychological torment of being separated from his family and his life's cause. It was a situation designed to break a person's spirit, to fill them with hatred, and to crush all hope. During his long years in prison, Mandela and his fellow inmates managed to smuggle in books. One of the works that was secretly passed among them was the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. In the words of a man who ruled an empire 2 millennia ago, Mandela found a guide for how to endure his own unimaginable circumstances. He focused on the dichotomy of control, recognizing that while his captors controlled his body and his physical freedom, they could not control his mind, his spirit, or his principles. He chose not to be consumed by bitterness or a desire for revenge, which he knew would only poison his own soul and make him a prisoner of his own hatred. Instead of despairing, Mandela turned his prison into a university. He studied, he wrote, and he led his fellow prisoners, turning a place of punishment into a center of resistance and learning. He practiced the Stoic Virtues with unwavering commitment. He showed immense courage by refusing to compromise his principles, even when offered freedom in exchange. He demonstrated temperance by maintaining his discipline and dignity in the face of constant provocation. He embodied wisdom by looking beyond the immediate suffering to a larger, long-term goal. And most remarkably, he personified justice, not as retribution, but as a force for reconciliation and unity for the future of his entire nation. When Nelson Mandela was finally released from prison in 1990 and later elected president of South Africa, the world watched, expecting him to seek vengeance against his former oppressors. Instead, he chose a path of radical forgiveness and reconciliation. He invited his former jailer to his presidential inauguration and worked to build a new rainbow nation where all people, black and white, could live together in peace. This was the ultimate Stoic act, focusing on what he could control, the future, rather than being chained to the injustices of the past. Mandela's life is a profound lesson that no matter how dire our circumstances, we always have the power to choose our response, to maintain our inner freedom, and to live a life of unshakable virtue. His unconquerable soul is an inspiration for us all.